Hi guys, welcome to our first ever edition of Coffee Talk. So this is a segment that I decided to start to kind of have like an open forum for discussions. Things are like a little bit light but relatable. So today I want to talk about first jobs, the first jobs I ever had. So cheers. Okay, so my first job ever was actually a volunteer position. I was 14 years old. I was at the nursing home, like right down the street from my house, and I was part of a volunteer program where high school and junior high kids could come and earn like credits for school, or whose parents like wanted them to get a job but we weren't quite old enough. So it was me and one other girl who I vaguely knew from school, but not really. We weren't friends, and I was very shy as a kid, believe it or not. People who know me now do not believe it, but it is true. I was very, very shy. And so we go in on our first day. Well, my first day. She'd been working there a while. And the coordinator of the activities department said, here's what you guys are going to do. You're going to take these menus, you're going to take them to these rooms, you're going to read the menu choices, and then they're going to choose like what they want for lunch. And then it's got like the weather and a few other like news. It was, you know, like morning announcements type thing, but in person. No big deal. I like to read. I can read. So yes. So this girl takes me down the hall, and she goes, okay, we'll start here in this hall, and this is so-and-so's room, and whatever. We go in, she does the first one, you know, shows me the ropes. I say, oh, I can do this. I've got it. Easy. So like we walk into the next room, and she goes, here you go. I'm going to go next door, and I'm going to, you know. I said, okay. So I have my paper, and I'm reading to, let's call him Mr. James, like reading Mr. James. Hey, Mr. James, good morning. You know, how are you doing? So today's weather is 63 degrees and sunny, with a high of 80 this afternoon. And you can either have like fish sticks or pizza for lunch. Mr. James? He's not breathing. So I run out into the hall, and I grab a nurse, and I'm like, he's not breathing. I don't know what's wrong. He's not breathing. She says, oh yeah, I know. He passed. I am 14. I am 14 years old. There's not like a sign on the door. It's open. He's not like covered with a sheet. He's just laying in his bed. Like I thought, what? What? Not only on my first day, first like go round by myself, he's dead. Number one, he's dead. Two, everybody knew except for me. And I hope Susan, or whatever her name was, who was like my partner, is this some weird like nursing home initiation? I hope not.
Who's dead?
Who knows? Hey.
Who's dead?
No one's dead now. This is a story from when I was a kid.
I'm gonna be in the video too.
Oh, you're gonna be in the video too. Okay. Bella wants to join for Coffee Talk for a minute. Say hi.
Hi.
Okay, so why don't you tell everyone what you want your first job to be?
To work at Starbucks and Sleepy's and be a scientist.
To work at Starbucks, to work at Sleepy's, and what?
And be a scientist.
Be a scientist. Whoops. And we're back. So yeah, that was my first job at the nursing home. So my second job was a step up. Oh, and let me go on to say I did continue working at that nursing home for the rest of the summer. And I had a wonderful experience. And that was the only time I ever discovered a body. So, okay. My second job, I was 14. I may have been 15. And I got a job down the street from my house at a gas station. I was in charge of stocking. I was in charge of cleaning gas station bathrooms. I ate a lot of beef jerky. Like, beef jerky from a gas station in the jar is like my favorite thing, and I have since learned like how unsanitary and disgusting that is, and I don't care. I still like it, except now you can get it in like a prepackaged bag that is sealed from the factory. That's better. So that job was, I mean, come on, it sucked, but I worked with friends of my mom, so that was cool, and I felt like a grown-up because I had a job, and that was cool. Yeah, so let's see. After that, I worked at a restaurant. I was not a waitress. I was a hostess, a cashier, and a bus girl. I hated this job. The owner was nasty. She was mean. I hated it. I would hide in the bathroom as often as I could to stay away from her because she was terrible. The people I worked with were terrible. It was terrible. I hated it. And one day I had my best friend call my work and pretend to be my mother and quit for me because, like I said, I was shy and I didn't know how to quit, but I hated it. So thanks, Ange. I still owe you for that. Other jobs that I've had, I waited tables at a different restaurant and I hosted at a different restaurant, and I actually really liked that a lot. The restaurant's not there anymore. They changed it and then they tore it down, which is very sad, but it was a lot of fun. I have waited tables a couple more times after that, and that's always been, you know, pretty standard. I worked at the Gap 2 separate times. I loved that job. I loved the people I worked with at that job. I made a lot of good friends working there. That was great. I worked, where else did I work? I worked for a woman who I used to go to church with. She was a real estate agent, and I worked as her office assistant when I graduated high school. I did that for 2 years before I went to college, and that was great. She was great, and it was a really good experience. I learned a lot of stuff. That was really fun. So other than that, all of my jobs have been like 2 years or less, with the exception of Starbucks. I worked at Starbucks for about 10 years almost. I started when I was in college as a part-time thing. When I moved home, I almost didn't take the transfer because I was told I wasn't put on the schedule, and it was just like kind of chaotic. And then I got a call and they were like, just come in, and I almost didn't, but I'm really glad I did because my best friends in the world, with the exception of Angela, everyone that I know to this day practically that is close to me or important to me, I met either working at Starbucks or during the time that I worked at Starbucks. I met a lot of really awesome people. I still go to Starbucks regularly. I still have friends at Starbucks. I'm drinking the Starbucks Kool-Aid. I'm still a fan. I think they're a great company to work for. They take really good care of their employees, and it's a really fun job. On the flip side of that, the strangest things that have ever happened to me, with the exception of one experience of my life, maybe two, I will say happened at Starbucks at work. And I worked at a lot of different stores. I've worked at a lot of stores. It's always weird. And I think that has more to do with me and less to do with Starbucks. But some of the things that people do and say at Starbucks is worth a video all its own. So that's my longest job that I've ever had. And yeah, so I'd like to hear what your first jobs were, some of your experiences. You can leave comments below. You can find me on my blog, A Beautiful Balancing. You could send me an email through that page if you wanted to. I want to hear your stories. If we get some good ones, I will read them at the beginning of my next coffee talk video, talk about some of your experiences. So I'd love to hear what you got going on. And thanks for joining me for coffee. See ya.